What if the real battle isn't fought with tanks and soldiers, but with electricity, secret deals, and silent weapons that rewrite the rules of power? Right now, as new alliances are forged across continents and cities descend into darkness, the world is being reshaped in ways most never see coming. On one front, a wave of precision strikes has hammered Ukraine's vital infrastructure. These aren't just random attacks. These are calculated blows designed to knock out the country's power plants, substations, and supply lines. In cities like Kyiv and Dnipro, entire districts have lost light and even water, as cascades of blackouts ripple across the nation and throw daily life into chaos. But the fallout doesn't stop at broken transformers. Each targeted node cripples logistics, disrupts both civilian and military operations, and chips away at morale. With every blackout, the lines between home front and battlefield blur, and the pressure on Ukrainian defenses grows ever tighter. Yet, while the world's attention is fixed on these explosions, Russia quietly unveils a weapon that could change the global balance: the Burevestnik missile. Unlike anything seen before, this system is designed for endurance and unpredictability, capable of flying for days, evading standard defenses, and holding rival capitals at risk in ways that keep strategists awake at night. Its emergence sends a clear message: the rules of modern warfare are being rewritten, and no one is immune. Amid this storm, diplomatic chess unfolds far from the front lines. Turkey, a key regional player, surprises analysts by responding positively to Moscow's recent moves, signaling a willingness to engage in new forms of partnership. At the same time, Russia and Azerbaijan achieve a breakthrough, opening a corridor across the South Caucasus and redrawing the map of influence in a region long fraught with tension. None of these events are isolated. Instead, they reveal an interconnected web of shifting alliances, technological leaps, and energy warfare that threatens to disrupt the entire global system. If we fail to track these deeper currents, we risk being blindsided by rising energy prices, economic shocks, and sudden changes in the alliances that shape our futures. To make sense of this tangled web, let's start by breaking down the latest moves on the Ukrainian front and see how they're sending shockwaves through the region. Under cover of darkness, entire cities are swallowed by blackouts, not only from bombs, but from deliberate, methodical strikes that target the very lifelines of a nation. In recent nights, Ukraine has faced some of the most massive coordinated attacks on its energy infrastructure since the war began. Russian forces have unleashed waves of precision strikes against power plants, substations, and critical logistical hubs, the arteries that keep both civilian life and the war machine functioning. Kyiv and other major cities have been plunged into darkness, their streets emptied not by curfews, but by the sudden collapse of electricity and, in many places, water supplies. These are not isolated outages. They trigger cascading failures across the country's fragile grid, leaving millions in the dark. The capital, a symbol of resilience, now flickers unsteadily on backup power, its hospitals, command centers, and shelters all straining to adapt. The chain reaction effect is devastating. When a single node in the energy network falls, pressure mounts on others until they too fail. In regions like Chernihiv and Sumy, close to the Russian border, explosions have lit up the night sky, followed by widespread fires and the hum of emergency sirens. Industrial centers such as Dnipropetrovsk, Kamyanske, Pavlohrad, and Kryvyi Rih have been repeatedly struck. These are the logistical backbones of Ukraine. Losing them cripples the flow of reinforcements, weapons, and vital supplies to the front lines. The attacks are shifting focus, methodically probing for weaknesses in Ukraine's air defenses and transportation corridors. Each strike tests the limits of anti-missile batteries, exhausting ammunition and exposing gaps. Communication hubs, ammunition depots, and even water treatment plants have become targets, deepening the crisis not only for soldiers, but for civilians trying to survive another unpredictable winter. But the campaign is about more than physical destruction. It is psychological warfare on a national scale. Each blackout, each missed day of work or lost shipment, erodes morale and frays nerves. Social media fills with images of families huddled in candlelight, trying to stay warm as the threat of a long, dark winter looms larger with every passing day. For Ukraine, the stakes are existential. Not just the loss of territory, but the risk of losing the will and means to resist. For the world, these attacks threaten to drag out the conflict, disrupt global supply chains, and spark a humanitarian crisis on a scale not seen in decades. But even as the lights go out, a deeper struggle is underway, one where new weapons, shifting strategies, and global perceptions will decide the fate of the conflict, and perhaps the entire balance of power. To understand where this war is heading, we need to look beyond explosions and power outages, to the game-changing weapons and diplomatic moves that are redefining the global order. What if a single weapon could make every military doctrine obsolete, and even trying to stop it could trigger disaster? This is the shadow hanging over the global arms race, as Russia unveils its most radical gambit yet, the Burevestnik missile. Known in the West as Skyfall, Burevestnik is not just another missile. It is a nuclear-powered cruise missile with, according to Russian claims, virtually unlimited range and the ability to follow unpredictable flight paths. Experts warn that no air defense system on Earth, either current or in foreseeable development, could reliably intercept it. But the real nightmare is this. Even if you try to shoot it down, you risk unleashing radioactive fallout over your own territory. Interception is no longer a safe option. It becomes a strategic paradox where defense is indistinguishable from self-destruction. This turns every calculation about deterrence on its head. Burevestnik is not an isolated project. It is part of a broader suite of new Russian superweapons, designed in direct response to the West's ongoing escalation, including advanced weapon shipments to Ukraine. In the Kremlin's eyes, these technologies are a direct answer to what they see as an existential military threat from NATO and its allies. With this missile, Russia is openly challenging the rules that have kept nuclear peace for decades. Suddenly, the old equations of mutual assured destruction look shaky. Who blinks when the cost of defense itself could mean nuclear contamination? The global reaction has been a mix of cold warnings and anxious silence. Adversaries see a direct message. Russia now dictates new terms of engagement, and any miscalculation could spiral far beyond the battlefield. For Western strategists and neutral states alike, alliances that once seemed like guarantees of security may now look like dangerous liabilities. If the balance of power tips even slightly, the risks are staggering, not only militarily, but politically and environmentally. The wrong move could provoke catastrophe on a scale no one can contain. Yet these shifts in power are not happening in isolation. As military lines are being redrawn, unexpected diplomatic and economic realignments are reshaping the world order, often in ways the headlines miss. The next chapter reveals how these military escalations echo through diplomatic holes and energy markets, reshaping rivalries and alliances in ways few could have predicted. While missiles fly and cities burn, new trade routes open, and former adversaries shake hands, why does this matter for everyone else? Because, as the world's attention is gripped by frontline explosions, the true global map is silently being redrawn far from the battlefield. Take Turkey, a NATO member and traditional rival to Russia. Instead of harsh condemnation, Turkish leaders have responded to Moscow's recent moves with a surprising calm, even positivity. Turkish media and public debate show a striking level of respect for what they describe as Russia's restraint and strategic clarity, despite years of skepticism and old grievances. This isn't just isolated rhetoric. It reflects a deeper exhaustion with Western pressure and shifting priorities among Turkish elites. Zoom out, and Turkey's stance is not unique. Across the world, from the Middle East to Southeast Asia, a growing number of governments now see the United States as a source of volatility rather than stability. For many, Russia, despite its aggression, is viewed as a pragmatic alternative, one offering new deals and a different kind of order. This subtle, yet profound shift is prompting countries to hedge their bets, forging links with Russia even as they keep one foot in the Western camp. One of the biggest surprises has come from the South Caucasus. Azerbaijan has opened up critical transit routes, allowing Russian goods to move directly to Armenia for the first time in decades. This new north-south corridor could soon rival traditional east-west pipelines, reshaping the region's economic heartland and bypassing old bottlenecks. The significance? These routes don't just move cargo, they move political influence, drawing in investment and rewriting old calculations overnight. Alliances that once seemed set in stone are now shifting with dizzying speed. Pragmatism is replacing old animosities as countries pursue survival and advantage in an unstable world. Once bitter foes are shaking hands, not because history is forgotten, but because the future demands flexibility. Miss the signs, and entire nations risk being left behind as new economic arteries pump life into different corners of the globe. For investors, businesses, and ordinary people, these changes can mean soaring prices one week, new opportunities the next, or being locked out entirely from emerging markets and energy hubs. But how does this rapidly shifting geopolitical puzzle affect everyday life, your job prospects, your energy bills, and the security of your community? Let's break down what's at stake for us all. In a world where politics, power, and pipelines cross paths, how can you stay ahead of the storm? First, remember, energy security is no longer just a regional concern. Each attack on critical Ukrainian infrastructure sends shockwaves through global energy markets, with disruptions that can push prices higher and strain supply chains continents away. Watch for these events, because what happens to the grid in Kyiv today might hit your wallet tomorrow. At the same time, technology is rewriting the rules of conflict. The unveiling of Russia's Burevestnik missile is not just a new weapon. It signals a leap in warfare that challenges old security strategies and demands new thinking from diplomats and analysts alike. Keeping an eye on these advancements is essential because technological surprises can quickly redraw borders, both literal and virtual. Alliances are shifting at breakneck speed, fueled by necessity, not by ideology. Traditional friends may hesitate, while former rivals find common interests. Turkey's unexpected diplomatic moves and the new opening between Russia and Azerbaijan show that future threats, or opportunities, may come from the most unlikely directions. Flexibility and vigilance are now your best tools. Economic corridors and supply chains are being built, rerouted, or broken faster than ever before in recent memory. The ripple effects of one disrupted port or pipeline can circle the globe within days. Staying aware of these changes is a real advantage, whether you are an investor, policymaker, or simply planning your next business move. In this age of volatility, your greatest defense is knowledge. Understanding the hidden currents beneath headline news, energy, logistics, alliances, puts you a step ahead of those who are caught off guard by price spikes, policy swings, or security crises. Ignore these trends, and you risk more than just inconvenience. Rising costs, missed chances, or even direct economic shocks can follow. But if you anticipate and adapt, you turn uncertainty into opportunity. So, how can you put this knowledge into action and safeguard your interests in this unpredictable world? Here's your checklist for staying ahead. If the rules of the world are being rewritten before your eyes, will you just watch, or will you learn to read between the lines? The past few days have shown us that power is shifting, often in silence, often in darkness. As Ukrainian infrastructure is battered and cities plunge into blackouts, these are not just distant headlines. Each destroyed transformer, each disrupted supply line ripples outward, changing the price of energy in your city, the cost of food on your table, and even the security of your own neighborhood. With Russia's unveiling of the Burevestnik missile, the global balance is tilting again. This is not just about military hardware, it's a signal to rivals and neutrals alike. Alliances are fragile, dependencies can be weaponized, and what you once thought was stable may vanish overnight. The world's chessboard is being flipped, and the pieces are landing in unexpected places. Diplomatic surprises in the Caucasus are more than regional side notes. They reveal how quickly yesterday's enemies can become today's partners, and how a single handshake or a closed port can rewrite the rules for millions. If you ignore these shifts, you're letting others decide what tomorrow looks like, from your wallet to your country's standing in the world. The true war is not only in missiles and trenches, but in energy corridors, logistical choke points, and psychological pressure. Understanding this means seeing how a blackout in Kyiv or a missile test in the Arctic could echo all the way to your front door. The risk of inaction isn't just being uninformed, it's surrendering your agency in a world that won't wait for you to catch up. In the end, the choice is not whether history will move, it's whether you will move with it, or let yourself be swept along by forces you refuse to see.